Minnesota 8. Relevant geographic and major issues. Minnesota 8 is an old, mostly rural, and predominantly white district. This district is industrial and mining is a major part of the state's economy. Current issues include sex trafficking, environmental issues, opioids, and gun safety. Current elected leaders. Rick Nolan is the current representative in the House. He is a Democrat. Generally, Minnesota is a Democratic state and votes for Democratic presidents. The senators are Democrats Amy Klobuchar and Tina Smith. Minnesota 8 voted for Trump in the 2016 general election. Minnesota is slowly turning away from Democrats because they feel they are no longer being represented by the party. Pete Stauber. He is the Republican candidate in the upcoming midterm elections. He is a Republican and he holds 43% of the support in polls in the state. His stances on issues are he is pro-life, he wants to protect the Second Amendment and especially the right to open carry. He supports legal migration, tax reforms, and taking good care of veterans. Joe Radinovich is a Democrat and he is up in the polls by 1%. He is at 44%. He believes that money should not be involved in politics. He supports new jobs opportunities, universal health care, and fixing utilities and roads. Ray Sandman is an independent with 13% of the support from the state. He ran in 2014, but he lost to the current incumbent. He supports the We the People amendment, taxing the rich. Why is this a swing district? The district was one of the most reliable Democratic districts of the 20th century. Minnesota has been voting Democrat for the past 50 years. Minnesota was also one of the only state in one of Reagan's elections to vote against Reagan when the 49 other states voted for Reagan. These midterms, Minnesota is a swing district. In a New York Times phone poll, including over 18,000 residents, the results came out with 44% supporting the Democratic incumbent, 43% supporting the Republican contestant, and 13% supporting the undecided, the independent. In 2012, the district supported Obama by 6 points. But in 2016, it swung for Trump by 16 points. The main reason for this change is the mining industry. President Obama did not express as much hope for the miners, which is a crucial part of Minnesota's economy, especially in a big area near Duluth, which is where the majority of the 8th district is. Trump's promise to help the declining mining industry encouraged the Minnesota miners to vote for him in the 2016 presidential election, flipping the historically blue district red. But in 2016, the Democrats still outperformed the Republicans, and they gained a seat in the House. But this year, the Republican representatives are ahead of the Democrats in the polls, creating a potential historic turnover in general. And this turnover might start with Minnesota's 8th district. It was one of the... How is this district different than from others? The district has mainly been Democratic, but most of Minnesota is Democratic, but some areas are Republican. Even though it has the second largest area, even though the district has the second largest area in the state, it has the smallest population compared to the other districts in Minnesota, with only 660,000 people living in the district, mainly in the rural areas and not in Duluth. Minnesota 8 and Minnesota 7 are the only two districts that are mostly rural. The other districts are mostly, if not all, urban. The other districts... The median income in Minnesota 8 is the second lowest in the state, with it being $53,000 a year. Minnesota 8 has the highest percentage of white citizens, being 92% of the district, but other areas are also predominantly white because it's Minnesota. Recent changes in the state. Minnesota has been feeling the effects of climate change. More intense floods come frequently, and new infectious diseases coming to the state. More than 300,000 Minnesotans will change Medicare health plans. A federal law eliminates certain health insurance options in much of the state. And these are the current and past poll numbers. Who won district in 2012? Rick Nolan is a Democrat that won the district in 2012. What? Rick Nolan is a Democrat that won the district in 2012 with 54% of the vote. He went up against the Republican Kravak. He won because Democrats in districts are culturally conservative voters with mostly traditional values, but the Democrats spend a lot of time on college campuses as there are many young voters in Minnesota. Suggestions from our group for the candidates. We recommend putting more emphasis on environmental issues, which are important to a lot of the citizens who live in the rural areas in the state. Also, we would appeal to young voters because Minnesota has one of the highest turnout for younger voters. Yes. We recommend putting money into traveling, to talking to individuals. There's a lot of distance in between certain areas with population in the state, so putting more money into traveling would be beneficial on the campaign trail.